so today is the last day of the summer book club that Heather from A Catholic Mom's Life started. This chapter is on building a Catholic identity in our homes, because our homes are our little domestic churches. Definitely check out all the other ladies linked below and see what they have to say on this chapter, chapter 22. This chapter starts out with living the liturgical calendar, and when I read that, it made me remember a time that really wasn't that long ago when I would just get confused about the liturgical calendar. If you've been watching my videos, you know, once I graduated and just finished all of school, I've always worked part-time for the church, and because I've always worked for the church, every week I'm always just preparing for that coming week, and I just felt like the seasons would go by so fast, and sometimes I would just get confused and be like, oh my gosh, it's already Advent, and I would just get confused about the order of the liturgical calendar. But now, thankfully, in my 30s, I fully understand the liturgical calendar, so I just want to break it down. So if you do want to fully celebrate the liturgical calendar in your home via decor or themed food, you know, with the colors of the liturgical calendar, you can more easily do that if you have a full understanding of the seasons within the liturgical calendar. Okay, so it might seem like a lot to the liturgical calendar, but the main mysteries that we celebrate are Christmas and Easter. And you know, that's easy. You don't even have to be Christian to know about Christmas and Easter. It's Santa on Christmas and bunnies on Easter. But if you're Christian, you know, for Christmas, we are celebrating the incarnation of the Son of God becoming man. And on Easter, we're celebrating the resurrection of our Lord. So those are the two main mysteries, Christmas and Easter. And then leading up to Christmas and Easter, we have a preparation period where we're anticipating this beautiful celebration of Christmas or Easter. So the preparatory period before Christmas is the season of Advent. The preparatory period of penance, that season before Easter, is Lent. And at the end of Lent, we have the Triduum, when we really meditate on and remember the Lord's Last Supper, Good Friday, and the Mass of the Resurrection. And even though those are 3 days before Easter, those 3 days, the Triduum, Catholics consider one liturgy. And I think that's so beautiful because, you know, after the Holy Thursday Mass, when we remember the Lord's Supper, that liturgy hasn't ended. So you go home and you're still meditating on the Lord's Supper until you go back to church for Good Friday and etc. So that's pretty easy, right? You have Advent leading up to Christmas and Lent leading up to the Triduum and Easter. So outside of those special times, it's ordinary time. And ordinary time is when we learn about the life of Christ outside of those two mysteries. So you see, that's pretty easy. So once you have that set in your mind, then you can start to memorize the other feast days surrounding Advent, Christmas, Lent, Triduum, Easter. Okay, so Advent is considered the beginning of the liturgical year. That's when we start the new year of readings for the masses. Advent is 4 weeks, so 4 weeks leading up to Christmas. And if you want to decorate your home or have like themed food for Advent, the liturgical color for Advent is purple. The third Sunday of Advent is Gaudete Sunday, and that color for that Sunday, Gaudete Sunday, is rose. It's like a joke within Catholics. It's not pink, it's rose. Anyway, if you wanted to do something fun for that, you could make like a beet soup or have strawberries, something like that. And whenever you see rose in the church, the color rose is for joy. For Christmas, white and gold are the colors. And then after Christmas, you enter a period of ordinary time, and the color for ordinary time is green. Then after that period of ordinary time, Lent begins with Ash Wednesday. It's not a time for Christians to go out in the world to just show people with their ashes that they're Christian. It's a time for us to remember that we were once dust and we will become dust again. And it's just a time of penance and just remembering that God is everything and we are so loved by God, but we're also dust. This world is temporary, everything's temporary, and we recognize that God is eternal. So Lent, like Advent, is a preparatory period, a season of waiting. So it's a season of anticipation for the Triduum and for Easter. So the color for Lent is purple. The fourth week in Lent is Laetare Sunday, and that is also rose, or some people say pink, but really it's rose. So you see that parallel between Advent and Lent. They're both leading up to the main mysteries, Christmas and Easter, and they both have that joyful Sunday of anticipation, Gaudete Sunday and Laetare Sunday. So purple for Advent and Lent, but with that one Sunday of rose. So at the end of Lent, we have the Triduum, which I just previously mentioned, but it's the holiest time of the year where we remember the Lord's Supper on Thursday, his passion on the cross on Friday, and it's such a solemn time, but I love it. I always feel closer to Christ and his suffering. I can find hope, with any suffering that I'm going through, and remember Christ's suffering on the cross. And then, of course, the Mass of Resurrection. Christ conquered death. So the Triduum is one liturgy, and then for Easter Sunday, we're back to the white gold colors. The season of Easter is 50 days. After the 50 days, we celebrate Pentecost, when we celebrate the descent of the Holy Spirit on the disciples. After Pentecost, we celebrate Trinity Sunday. Then after that, we're back in ordinary time, and I'm wearing green for ordinary time. And then we end the year with the Feast of Christ the King. So the Feast of Christ the King is actually celebrated by a lot of Protestants. It's actually a pretty new feast added to the liturgical calendar not that long ago. It's just a time for us to truly recognize the fact that Christ is King. We're in this world where people do not recognize that, this secular world where other things are being worshipped, material things. Christians, we recognize that Christ is King, he's eternal, and has dominion over everything. All things visible and invisible. So that's the liturgical calendar in a nutshell. If Pentecost, Holy Trinity, all of that is a little too much for you to remember right now, the main thing to take away from this video is that Advent leads up to Christmas, Lent leads up to the Triduum, one liturgy, and Easter. And after both Christmas and Easter, we have ordinary time. If you want to incorporate the liturgical seasons into your home decor, into your food preparation, you can definitely do that with the colors. Also, different saints' feast days. I know for St. Patrick's Day, I made a lot of green food. I made like a spinach soup, a pesto bean dip with cucumbers and celery, and I made a rainbow out of fruit. and I just put marshmallows for the clouds. And I gave my niece and nephew in my children's choir little St. Patrick education and virtue cards. Recently, for the feast of St. Clare of Assisi, it was just this past Saturday, my husband and I, we hiked with a group of young adults, and we prayed, we asked for St. Clare of Assisi's intercession for safety on our hike. Thankfully, we were all safe, even though it rained and the rocks were slippery, and someone was hiking with a baby as well. Anyway, we all hiked safely and saw a beautiful view. And I actually recently took my niece to paint night, to a discounted night because it was like a weekday, and the painting was of a mermaid, and I was like, I'm not gonna hang a mermaid in my house. So I adjusted the painting and I painted St. Clare of Assisi because her feast day was coming up. And so I put her feast day here this past Saturday, August 11th, and I put a quote of St. Clare's. I'll put this quote below, it's so beautiful. So this is St. Clare before she became a nun. St. Clare of Assisi was a wealthy young girl, and she left her family all the riches when she heard of St. Francis of Assisi, and she felt called to follow him. So yeah, don't judge me, I'm not a painter. This is actually my first time painting ever. So I'm excited to hang this. So now I just want to talk a bit about decor. So I am extremely frugal. It is very hard for me to spend money. I have like an aversion to shopping. So I actually don't have a lot of decoration, but I do understand that my home is a domestic church, and so I do have a little. So since we are in ordinary time, I'll just share with you the Catholic decor that I have around for ordinary time. So this is always in my home. This is the entryway to my kitchen from my den. I love this cross. This is my fridge. I have my favorite priest on my fridge. And this frame I got from my friend, thanks Chica, with 1 Corinthians on it. And I have 1 Corinthians again here. And I actually got this from the thrift store. So if you have an aversion to spending money like I do, definitely check out the thrift store. There are always Christian things there, which is nice. Yeah, so I got this from the thrift store as well. I'm really happy to have found it. This is just in my downstairs guest bathroom, so I don't know, I didn't really want to put a toilet on my video, in my video. And here's the creed, and with my Divine Mercy picture and my crucifix with my husband and I. This is my dining room. I just love having a Last Supper picture in the dining room. I just think it's perfect. And here is my guest room. I have a nice serenity prayer with my candle from my husband and I's engaged encounter retreat from when we were engaged. And I love this cross. It's from a friend in high school. She taught me the rosary. I just haven't found a home for it yet in this house. And this is my nightstand. I have my rosary and my uncle's prayer card from his funeral, and a little book of prayers, scapulars. Excuse my makeshift nightstand. My husband's building nightstands that match the bed that he built for us. He's amazing. And I've already showed you this, but yeah, this is my sink, the master bath sink. I won't show you all of it. It's messy. I think little by little I'll buy more, but again, I'm very frugal, so I don't know when that will happen. I do think it's beautiful. The author of this book, I think it was her or a friend that had a crucifix above every single door in their home. I think that's so beautiful. And, you know, maybe I will get to that point eventually, but yeah, I don't have a lot of crucifixes because it's just hard for me to purchase things. I hope you enjoyed seeing a little bit of my decor. This was the last chapter of the book club, but definitely tune in Monday because I have a little confession that relates to this book club, and so definitely tune in for that. Also check out all the other ladies below. I hope you're having a wonderful week so far, and hopefully I'll see you Monday in the comments section. Bye!